This video is sponsored by Pine Tree Garden Seeds. I have so much going on for seedling sale, stuff for my cut flowers, roadside stand. Freaking out. Right about now, I'm freaking out. If you're new to my channel, my name is Roxana and I garden in Zone 6 in central Indiana. My space where I grow my garden is in a small suburban lot close to the city, close to Indianapolis, and I don't really have a lot of space to grow. I am slowly getting rid of all the grass around my house and just, slowly being grass free here. And I love to grow vegetables and flowers. Actually, about 6 years ago, I started to grow the plants from seed. Growing from seed just opens a whole new world of new varieties, both for vegetables and plants. And this year, one of the things that I want to do is grow a lot of cut flowers because I decided to open a roadside stand in front of my house, just for locals, maybe open a couple of times a week, something like that. I love to grow flowers, I love to make bouquets, and I think that's just going to be a great combination. But also I decided that this year I am going to have a seedling sale for locals only. And I am starting a bunch of things. Honestly, I'm having a hard time deciding what varieties to grow because I want to grow all of the things to sell, but also the timing to start those plants. And it's a really tricky part because if I grow things that are just massive for myself, then it's fine, I'll deal with it. But for the seedling sale, I just want to have things that are big enough to get that interest from the person buying those, but not too big that they're just too far gone. So this year is going to be the first year me doing this. I am learning a lot, but even now I am learning a lot. And hopefully I can bring you along for the seedling sale and show you how I do things and mistakes and things that I'll probably try to do better for next year. Let me show you a few things that I have. I talk about timing of starting the plants for the seedling sale, and that has been a little bit of a struggle this year, mainly because I changed potting mixes for starting my seeds. And the problem that I have right now, well, it's not really a problem, I think it's more of a good thing really, is that the new potting mix, it's really such a good quality that my plants are thriving here. These guys right here, these are Chelta bean peppers that I started these guys on February 13th, so today is March 20th. So they have been here for about 5 weeks, and this is really the size, this 2.5 inch container. This is really the size that I would like to bring this to my seedling sale. I already pinched these guys because they were just taking off. And I still have a good month to go. Now, what I'm probably going to have to do, which I didn't want to do in the first place, what I'm going to have to do is that I'm just going to have to pat these guys up into a bigger size. And I'm going to have to decide that when the time comes, which you will probably have to be here in about 2 weeks or so. In past years, there is no way that these peppers will be this huge in only about 5 weeks. Look at that. Those are the very, very spicy Chelta bean peppers, if you are wondering. Over here, these are my Verbena bonarienses. These guys right here that you're looking at, I started them on the 19th of February. So exactly about a month ago. These guys are growing fast. I have a bunch of these guys that I am growing for the sale, and they are going really, really well, actually. I wasn't sure if these guys were going to be big enough to be part of the sale, but they're going to be perfect here. Here in about a couple of weeks or so, I am going to move these guys into these containers, into these 2.5 inch, and they're going to be just amazing. And actually, these guys right here, these I grew a little bit earlier than that. I grew these for myself. I started these guys about 2 weeks earlier than the guys over here. So that tells me that they're going to be a pretty good size. They're going to be amazing. I mean, if I have something in this size for Verbena bonariensis for the sale, I think that will be a great size. Won't you think? I am not planning to sell this in this 4 package. These are mine. These containers are mine. But I am going to move these guys into these little guys into something like this size. So far things are going great with a few things. I have a lot of things that are germinating. I have dahlias that I am starting indoors. So those are going to be potted dahlias that I'm also going to be offering for the sale. But also, when I received my purchase for the one dahlia variety that I show you from the wholesale, I went and I cleaned all of the clumps that I got. I got those as clumps. I went and I took my sweet time cleaning everything. Actually, I have a bunch of those tubers already sprouting. A bunch of those are going to be for my garden and a bunch of those are going to be for the sale. But also I have a lot of extra tubers and I am saving them to sell them at the sale as well. That one already has a little sprout there. So I am keeping them here in vermiculite. I am keeping them in the coolest part of my house that I have, even though it's not perfect. So hopefully these guys can still hang out there for a few more weeks. Look at that. So my hope is that if I have a good interest in dahlia tubers and potted dahlias, that hopefully next year, if I'm able to, you know, overwinter the tubers that I am growing this year, because I already purchased a lot of tubers for my own garden. But when those tubers multiply, and if I'm able to overwinter a bunch of those, I am going to have many, many extras. So hopefully next year, if everything goes well this year, I am going to have way more varieties for the seedling sale. Tell me, if you weren't thinking about buying tomatoes or peppers, but you saw a plant sale with dahlia tubers, would you go? Let me know. But this is what's making me super, super excited right now. Look at my coleus, you guys. Look at that. Look at these beautiful, beautiful coleus. These guys are being started for myself. These are not going to be part of the sale, these specific ones. These are going to be huge by the time that I'm able to take them outside. I started these guys on the 5th of February. This right here is one of my favorite varieties. This right here is my favorite probably coleus. This is Mighty Mosaic. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And the way that I started these guys is I chose this little tray and I just placed all of the seeds here. I covered them with a little bit of vermiculite and they started doing their thing. And when they were about this big, I moved them into something like this. Look at that color. That is just gorgeous. That's absolutely gorgeous. This other variety here that I have, this one is Lime the Light. This variety is new for me, but I am really enjoying that. And the reason why I am starting these guys really early is because I have those 2 corten steel planters in front of my house, which I did a video on how I put a bunch of spring flowers there. I'm going to link that video below. But when I am ready to put all of my summer plants in there, I really want to have the plants that I use huge, like really, really big. I don't want to have something this small. I really do not want to have something this small in those containers because they're going to look a bit ridiculous. You know, those containers are about 26 inches and these guys are going to be pretty small if I chose something like this. So my plan is that I am just going to be bumping these guys up and it's going to be amazing. And hopefully I can show you that. These right here are the ones that I show you in a past video on how I started them. These are the ones that I am going to be here for the sale. And they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. This is Lime the Light, Mighty Mosaic. Wait, this is not Mighty Mosaic. This is Mighty Mosaic, and this guy is Chocolate Mint. Chocolate Mint is gorgeous. I grew that about a couple of years ago, and it's just so amazing. This guy right here, they're ready. These guys are ready to be potted up. And what I'm going to do today is that I am going to be potting these guys up into this size because they are going to benefit from being here for maybe 2 more weeks. And then from this size, I am going to move them into this right here. So this is pretty much how they'll be in 2 weeks, and then they're gonna be moved here in a couple of more weeks for the seedling sale. Now, you might be wondering, why don't you just place these guys here? Well, I really do not want the soil that I'm going to have here sitting here for 4 weeks. That just calls for fungus gnats. And I think that one of the reasons why even now, as of right now, March 20th, I started things from seed since January, and I don't have any signs of fungus gnats. One, I don't really keep my plants completely wet all the time. But two, I don't keep the soil in the containers for more than 3 or 4 weeks. And that's why I'm going to be just moving these guys up and up. Now, it's not a problem for me because I'm here most of the time, and it doesn't really take me a lot to pot things from one size to another. Oh my gosh, I can't get over how gorgeous. Look at how gorgeous that is. And also, today I get to start a bunch of cosmos for the seedling sale. I am growing a bunch of these for my own garden, for my cut flower needs, but I'm going to wait a couple of more weeks for the ones that I am going to keep myself, mainly because I'm going to start a bunch, and I really don't mind if they are on the small size. I really don't mind having something like this size for the ones that I am keeping. But for the seedling sale, I really do want to have them slightly bigger than that, and that's why I'm starting them today. And by the way, if you're wondering, the seedling sale that I have planned is going to be happening sometime around the end of April. I still am not sure on the date, mainly because the weather. I can't decide right now when I'm going to have the sale, because if the weather is bad, then it's just going to have to be canceled for another date. So maybe a week before I decide to have the sale, as when I'm going to be sharing on Facebook, sharing everywhere. And this is just for my locals. The seedling sale is not for me to ship around the US, unfortunately. I don't have the resources. I don't really think that I have the extra time to do all of that. So if you're local to Indianapolis area, let me know, send me an email, send me a message on Instagram, because I can give you the information where I am planning to post all of that information. So I have 3 different types of cosmos that I am going to be growing for both my garden and for the seedling sale. I am very familiar with 2, which is double click cranberries. I'm going to post a picture here. I have grown this variety for maybe 2 years, a few years ago. I don't think that I grew it last year. I just forgot about it, and I think that I ran out of seeds, so I wasn't prepared. But this year I'm going hot and heavy with cranberries. I just love this variety. I am very, very attracted to dark color flowers, and this cosmos, this cranberry kind, does not disappoint. I am also going to be adding snow puff, double click snow puff. And even though I don't have a lot of white flowers in my garden, I think the only white flower that I have is going to be my marigolds, my Kilimanjaro marigolds, which, by the way, I already have a bunch of them. They're growing for the sale. And this is going to be a nice second addition. This is definitely, snow puff is definitely a little bit more on the white, pure white color, but the Kilimanjaro marigolds are more like a creamy, like an off-white color. So very excited about this. And one that is new for me, but I keep on seeing it with other people that do bouquets, is Ruvensa. And I'm super, super excited about this. I don't have any experience growing this one yet, but I'm hoping that it does well. I'm hoping that it likes the weather here. And this is also one that I'm going to be adding for the seedling sale. And of course, all of the seeds, the cosmos, the coleus, marigolds, Verbena bonariensis, peppers, you can find them at Pine Tree Garden Seeds, and they are the ones sponsoring this video. If you are new to the whole seed starting things for vegetables or flowers or both, and you want to have a resource for where you buy your quality seeds, I highly, highly recommend that you check Pine Tree Garden Seeds. I have purchased from them for many years now. I always have great results with the seeds. I don't have any problems with germination. The plants do amazing. And I believe that most of my coleus have come from them. Definitely this year I am going super heavy with the coleus, and I mean, they do not disappoint. And when they decided to sponsor my videos this year, I was over the moon because I already love their products. And even if they were not sponsoring my videos, I will still purchase from them. I will still use their seeds because they are that good. They're located here in the US, in Maine. And if you want to know more about what they offer, what they're all about, you can check their website. And I am going to also leave the information below because they are giving me a coupon code that you can use for one of your purchases. And if you want to grab some of the seeds that I mentioned here, if you want to try this Mighty Mosaic Coleus or one of the Cosmos that I'm starting today, or all of them, go ahead and take advantage of that because they are really, really that great. So I am going to be doing the same thing here, the same idea for starting my Cosmos. Right now, I am not too worried about having these guys separate in individual containers. What I want to do is I want to get the seeds to germinate. I just want to get the germination going. I have potting mix here, regular potting mix. Choose whichever potting mix you have that is of good quality. I add a little bit of water. It's not completely soaking wet, but it's definitely not dry. And I like to do that for every single seed that I start this way. I don't start with dry things. All right, the instructions on the package say to start indoors 4 to 6 weeks before my last frost. I'm right in the middle of that. And it says to sow 1/8 of an inch deep. I grew up with centimeters and meters, so I suppose that 1/8 of an inch is kind of small, not too deep. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to press this, making sure that the seeds do have a nice contact with the soil. I am going to get some of that same potting mix and I'm going to very gently just kind of spread some soil on top. That looks good to me. But what I also do for a lot of the things that I start this way is that I just cover them with vermiculite. And hopefully here in about, I don't know, a couple of weeks, we'll have definitely some signs of germination. I am hoping that these guys go quick. We'll see how big they can get. And that's pretty much what I am going to be doing for the rest of the Cosmos. Now, if you're wondering why I don't just spread the seeds from the package straight into here, it's because I really want to have control of the placement of the seeds. It'll be really easy for me just to dump the package here. But if I have a bunch of them in one spot, I have 25 seeds here. And if I have a bunch of them here in one space, when they germinate, it's going to be really hard for me to separate them if they are all in one spot. This way, if I spread them around, it's just a lot easier for me once I have to get them out of there. So I am helping myself in a way in the future. Now these containers are going to go under my LED lights and they're also going to be on top of a heat mat. Definitely heat is going to help these guys go germinate faster. Hopefully here in a couple of weeks I can show you exactly where they are. I am not going to show you how I'm going to be potting up every single coleus that I have here, but I am going to show you just how I do a couple in case that you are new and you have not done this before. Hopefully this video is helpful. Pretty much I have the same thing here, potting mix with a little bit of water, not too wet, but definitely not dry. And because I knew that these guys were going to be separated today, last night I gave them a little bit of water just so that I didn't have to be dealing with dry potting mix. It's a lot easier for me to separate these guys if they're a little bit, just a little bit wet, instead of having to deal with dry potting mix, if that makes sense. There's really no easy way to start this. I'm going to very carefully use something to kind of grab these things from underneath. Look at this. Wanna see the roots? Look at that. So I have my containers here ready, and I'm just going to start one by one. Now, depending how thick you have the plants here together, depending how tight they are, you may lose a couple of plants, and that just happens. There's just no way around that. But I always try to be very, very careful when dealing with the seeds or with the seedlings, because they can just break really easily. I always have a couple that take one for the team. That's just as easy as it is. Look at the root of this guy. I make a little hole there just to make sure that I have an area for the roots to kind of sit there. And then I just gently push them down. I have extra potting mix on the side because I know that I am going to need to fill the sides. Look at that. These right here are very small, and they are going to be gorgeous plants. They're just smaller than the others because they were growing later and the bigger ones were shading. Look at that. I know that a lot of people don't really enjoy potting up, and I get that. If you have a full-time job and then you come home and you still have to put up a bunch of things, I can see how that could be just a chore, but I really enjoy it. I don't know. There is something truly relaxing about spending a few hours here, starting from seed, potting things up, trimming, dividing, all of the things. I enjoy it. So look at that. These beautiful, beautiful plants are going to be just gorgeous. I just love that color, that green color. And for these guys, which are the bigger size, I have my bigger container with potting mix in there. These guys are a lot easier because I actually have the containers that have the hole here. So I can easily just push, and this thing comes out really, really nice. Look at that. Again, it's the same thing. I make room for the plug, and then I just press it nicely in there. And if it needs a little bit of soil around the edges, I can just add that. And boom, it's ready to go. These are the ones that I am going to keep for myself, as I mentioned. So these guys are probably going to be here for 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'm going to pot them up into something bigger because I definitely want to push them to be as big as they can get. If you made it all the way here, you are awesome. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next time.